Okay. Gather the Spirit, harvest the poor. Our separate fires will kindle one flame. Witness the mystery of this hour. Above in this light appear all the same. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion and strength. Gather to celebrate once again. Gather the Spirit of heart and mind. Seeds for the sowing are laid in store. Nurtured in love and conscience refined, with body and spirit united once more. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion and strength. Gather to celebrate once again. Gather the Spirit, growing in all, drawn by the moon and fed by the sun. Winter to spring and summer to fall, the chorus of life resounding as one. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion and strength. Gather to celebrate once again.
Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Spokane, where our mission is to join together to create a nourishing, liberal religious home and to champion justice, diversity, and environmental stewardship in our wider world. Or as we say in short, to create community, find meaning, and work for justice. It's great to see all of you this morning. Welcome to one and all. I want to begin, as always, by embracing all that you bring with you today, all of your uniqueness, your differences, everything that helps make you who you are is welcome here this morning. And of course, this includes those of you here who hear me say this every Sunday, as well as those who might be hearing it for the first time today. You're equally as welcome. And I also want to especially welcome those who are streaming with us, because we're so grateful that you're with us as well. So welcome to one and all. The only announcement I'm going to make this morning, since I see my friend Cindy Phillips sitting up front with her big red mug, will you show that? This is a very, I'm talking about the cup, not her face, of course. Your face is not a red mug. Mine probably is. But anyway, this is something that Cindy has at the question and answer table in the back of our friendship area. And if you stop by there and you want a cup of coffee, you can put it in one of these red mugs. If you're visiting, if you're new to the congregation and you don't know a lot of folks, this is a symbol of, hey, I don't know a lot of folks. Somebody please be nice to me, you know? Or if you've been here a long time and nobody's nice to you yet, you can also You've just been on the shy side and you want some extra conversation today. This is a symbol to all of us. Hey, yeah, you've got to... Thank you. So if you didn't hear that, this was a very meaningful part of the ritual for her when she first joined our community, and shows you that those who have the cup are safe people. So if you do see someone, that's the other side of this, if you do see someone with a red cup, don't be afraid of them. Okay? It actually means we want you to go to them and be approachable and start a conversation, because it's an invitation. So Cindy, thank you for doing that. Jane Harper, thank you. Where's Jane? Is she in here? There's Jane. Jane, thank you. Jane's doing incredible work for us. Thank you so much. Yeah, so why don't you go ahead and, even though you don't have any red mugs right now, greet one another for a little bit this morning, and then we'll move forward with our chalice lighting in just a little bit. Hey.
So then maybe next September they might. Talking about that, whether there's some online groups, community colleges, or kind of not worth it. Hour and a half for an hour or so. It's not as motivating as when you have other people listening.
Thank you, and you can converse more with your red mug in hand after our service, but we are going to move forward now by lighting our chalice, the symbol of our faith, the symbol of our unity and our solidarity, of our openness and our inclusion, of our community and our individual uniqueness. May this small flame be our offering of warmth to those who are cold and alone, and a light to those in darkness. May it be a flame that ignites justice in our world and a beacon of hope to those in need, and may it reflect at least a spark of truth wherever truth has been lost, and cast a healthy shadow of doubt wherever it's been found.
So the opening reflection is adapted from Reenchantment of the World by Morris Berman. Diversity is critical to the survival of all biological systems. Diversity produces the possibility of randomness, hence the creation of something new. This ensures survival. Flexibility of mind, love, and wisdom add up to the ethics of diversity. I want to say that again. The ethics of diversity consists of flexibility of mind, love, and wisdom. Yet our whole society is predicated on unity of thought and behavior. We seem to value the rigid fixedness of standardization. Mary Catherine Bateson and Nietzsche both said that we each have our own mythology, our own real possibilities to live out, and that's truly diverse. Monotypes tend toward weakness. They cannot produce anything new, and having little flexibility, they're easily destroyed. In novels like John Nichols' Milagro, Beanfield War, which is a great book, or films like Fellini's Emicord, in these two things, almost everyone has eccentricities that would be considered outrageous. But from another perspective, they're quite splendid. And that means that diversity is celebrated. If each person possesses more than just a slight touch of irrationality, then the whole structure is itself rational, organic, and whole.
Our first in-service hymn is in the Teal book, if you wish to look along. The music will also be behind us, if I can find it. There it is. And please rise and as you're willing and able. Number 1008, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we tell our story from deep inside, and we listen with a loving mind, and we hear our voices in each other's words, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we share the silence of sacred space, and the God of our heart stirs within, and we hear the power of each other's faith, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when our seated.
I'd like to invite the young at heart and the youngsters up front for the story, and also any of the RE teachers that are here at this service, please come up and be recognized as well. I'm Nancy Avery, and this is my daughter, Jenny, also known to many of you as Rabbit. Rabbit has taken on the role of part-time acting RE director with some support from me. And we want to take some time today to where are my teachers? You're sitting with the children. Of course you are. Well, I'm going to have you stand up in a minute. We want to thank our nursery care providers and RE teachers for their time, energy, and commitment to the children and youth of this congregation. All of their names are projected up on that screen. Some of them teach every Sunday. Some of them teach 2 Sundays a month, some once a month, and their commitment is greatly appreciated. You might also see a starfish up there, and it ties into this short story that I have for you today. A young girl was walking along a beach following a terrible storm where she saw thousands of starfish washed up on the shore. When she came to each starfish, she would pick it up and throw it back into the ocean. People watched her with amusement. She'd been doing this for some time when a man came up to her and said, "Little girl, why are you doing this? Look at this beach. You can't save all of these starfish. You can't begin to make a difference." The girl seemed crushed, but after a few moments, she deliberately bent down, picked up another starfish, and hurled it as far as she could into the ocean. Then she looked up at the man and replied, "Well, I made a difference for that one." The old man looked at her and thought about what she had done and what she had said. And inspired by her, he joined the little girl, throwing starfish back into the sea. And soon, others joined in as well, and all the starfish were saved. Now, I don't think any of us believe that our UU children are in a place where they need to be saved. But they do need guidance and community, and that's what our teachers provide. They make a difference. And for that, we thank you. So teachers, if you would stand up so people can see who you are. We have a little token of appreciation. Our little token of appreciation contains chocolate hugs and kisses and daisy seeds to plant to remind you of all the seeds that you have planted in our children. Thank you so much. Well, we were so excited to do this that we forgot the chalice. So here it is.
So now, as usual, we will be lighting the children's chalice, and our lay leader will be saying some words. So we'll all gather around. Oops, sorry. We light the second chalice so that our children and youth go to their chapels, and they carry the light of our flame with them. May it illuminate, inspire, and warm you as it does us.
Everywhere you may
We are now going to kindle our candles of care for those who are most on our hearts and minds this morning. I did not receive any specific request, but earlier this week my friend Happy Watkins let me know he was going to be here today, and then I got a call this morning that he wasn't feeling well, and Happy loves our candles. So let's kindle a candle for our dear friend Happy Watkins, in addition to others we might be thinking of this morning. And we will take our usual moment of silence on their behalf, and as always, you're welcome to name them aloud at this time if you'd like. Those named aloud and those embraced in our silence, and all those who are suffering in our world at this hour, we hold in our community with compassion. Before I came up here to do this, Catherine said, "I so appreciate your flexibility. It makes a big difference." And I realized we haven't done the offering. So I appreciate your flexibility as we now gratefully give and receive this morning's offering, which sustains this community and its mission to the larger, I'm giving our ushers time to catch up. Mission to the larger world.
So this is a brief time for meditation and reflection. and this is adapted from Claude Levi-Strauss. So think about what it would be like if we all had a healthy spirituality that led us to celebrate our differences and to see them as a reflection of nature's beneficence and creativity. How would your life be different?
We're going to let that sweet sound bring us out of our meditation. That's better than any sound I can make up here. For our reading, let's turn to number 584. 584 in the back of the gray hymnal. This was actually the reading I was going to initially do last week when another one presented itself, but I think this one's even more appropriate for today, number 584. And since we have a good number of folks here, why don't we start with this side of the room today, and this side can be our respondents, and then we will close on the last verse together. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality. Shall hew out of the mountain of despair.
Good morning, everybody. I would like to say that last Sunday we had a guitar player who engaged the congregation. It was Stanton Cobbs, and they were to sing, and did sing, were to sing a little bit of his song, which was about some people build walls and other people open doors. And he did such a lovely job, and so did you. Well, today, I would like you to try to, or to sing, rather, a refrain for me that goes like this, with me, not for me. Okay, it goes... What's a world without freedom? And what's a world without peace? What's a world without harmony? And what's a world without love? Try it. What's a world without freedom, peace? And what's a world without peace? Harmony. What's a world without harmony? And what's a world without love? Good. Well, divide and conquer goes just so far till people wake up and see where we are after slavery and genocide. We're so polarized. Where are we going, and when will we rise? 'Cause what's a world without freedom? What's a world without peace and harmony? What's a world without harmony? And what's a world without love? We're miles from safe harbor in deep water now, sinking as fast as the tide will allow. All our sides are splintering. How will it end? Brothers and sisters, start making friends. 'Cause what's a world without freedom? And what's a world without peace? Great. What's a world without harmony? And what's a world without love? The people who first walked the contours of our land, crossing our valleys and mountains and plains, were followed by all who heard a promise in the wind and came here for freedom, America by name. Listen to the wanderer, the gypsy and the blind. When you cross the Rubicon, be humble and kind. No more thought police, no labels, no red lines. Let everyone be free to speak their own mind. 'Cause what's a world without freedom? What's a world without peace? And what's a world without harmony? And what's a world without love? Our differences are mostly the story we're in. So let's take a journey, come together again. There's a train that crosses all mountains, leaves no one back. That train is justice, keeps freedom on the track. 'Cause what's a world without freedom? What's a world without peace? What's a world without harmony? And what's a world without love? And what's a world without love?
Thanks again, Pam. Always appreciate your musical talent, your voice, and your songwriting as well. So thank you. It's always a great gift. So I mentioned Happy Watkins, Reverend Happy Watkins, a little bit earlier. He called me a couple of days ago and said he was going to be here today and said, I need 10 minutes. in your pulpit. It's like, okay. So I kept my sermon shorter, even shorter than usual, if you can. I know you're disappointed, but I can promise you we will get out on time today. Just barely, but it's going to happen. So on Monday, as everyone knows, I suspect, we celebrated the birthday of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., now a federal holiday that immortalizes his life, his work, his sacrifice, pursuing justice for all. Justice for all. I have a dream that one day little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. This statement in particular expresses my own deepest yearning for our species. That we see past our differences and learn that we are all part of one human family. And as such, nobody ever gets left out. Authors Greg Lukianoff and Jonathan Haidt say that this statement epitomized King's common humanity, identity politics. Part of Dr. King's genius, they say, was that he appealed to the shared morals and identities of Americans by using the unifying languages of religion and patriotism. He repeatedly used the metaphor of family, referring to the people of all races and religions as brothers and sisters. The sad alternative to this humanistic ethic is what they call common enemy identity politics, which divides us into tribes by rallying us against an outside group we don't identify with. They ascribe this ethic to Hitler, who used it against the Jews to unify and expand his Third Reich, further lamenting, "It is among the most shocking aspects of our current age that some Americans and Europeans, mostly young white men, have openly embraced neo-Nazis' ideals and symbols." This has hit home since the election of Donald Trump, who used common enemy identity ethics or politics to get elected, emboldening some of these local white nationalists to begin plastering white supremacist flyers and graffiti at our local synagogues, at the Salish School, in black churches and social justice organizations like the Center for Justice, and including our own church. We learned only a few months ago that the white nationalist and duly elected Washington State Representative, Matt Shea, hard to put those sentences together, isn't it? Matt Shea is part of a militant Christian identity organization that has targeted several progressive groups and individuals in our community on a list that includes my name and the name of our church, among others. Even more disturbing, as far as I'm concerned, is that many liberal institutions and organizations around the country have also embraced this divisive common enemy identity politics. They claim we are all so fundamentally different, based upon qualities like our gender, our skin color, nationality, sexuality, cultural background, and so on, that we can't possibly understand each other. Nor can we empathize with each other. For the kind of pain we feel is so linked to our individual identities that it is not possible for one identity group group to feel the pain of another. It alienates us from one another. We feel like others are aliens. Straight people can't possibly know what a gay person is going through, or a man, a woman, or a white, a non-white, or a Christian, a Muslim. Not only does this divisive morality make the claim that we can't understand and empathize with each other, but that it is fundamentally immoral for us to even try. We must all just keep quiet and segregate into our identity-based safe zones where we can be free of the offensive and hurtful presence of those who cannot possibly relate to us. I recently received a communication from a music composer in New England who told me of an accomplished white male musician there who had been popular in Unitarian Universalist churches. This was so until he was accused of cultural appropriation for using jazz, gospel, and other idioms from African and African American music in his compositions after he'd been commissioned by the UU Musicians Network to write a song for one of its conferences. I'm told the UU Musicians Network issued a public apology, and this composer is seldom invited to perform in Unitarian Universalist churches anymore. His name is Brian Tate, and one of his most best-known songs is entitled, "We Are One." When we walk, when we sleep, when we rise, we are one. When we laugh, when we sing, when we cry, when we run, we are one. And we shall love one another with all our hearts, and we shall care for each other with all our soul and all our might. When we stand, when we fall, when we rise, we are one. In the cold, in the heat, in the dark, in the sun, we are one. And we shall love one another with all our hearts, and we shall care for each other with all our soul and all our might. When we're hurting one another, that's the way we hurt ourselves. With our sisters and our brothers, we will rise. And we do, and we try, we must live or we die, we will reach, we will climb, we will rise, we will fly. We are one. And these words shall forever within our hearts be, and we shall teach them to our children and remember them in our lives. When we walk, when we sleep, when we rise, we are one. When we laugh, when we sing, when we cry, we are one. We are strong, we belong, we are one. Do these sound like the sentiments of a person who can't understand anyone else? Do they sound like the words of a racist and a thief, as he is now being accused of? I wonder if when Dr. King dreamt of children of all colors joining hands as sisters and brothers, he imagined they shouldn't also influence and inspire each other and sing their songs together. Yet that's the common enemy identity ethic. That if you aren't with us, a member of our specific identity group, our tribe, then you must be against us. This is the opposite of Jesus' radical common humanity ethic that countered, if you are not against us, you must be for us. In other words, unless someone is actively working against us, working to harm us, they are not our enemy. Just being different or thinking different is no reason to fear them and does not excuse us to demonize them. This contentious ethic, furthermore, goes against everything civil rights has struggled for over generations. Until now, it has been based upon the claim, as the song says, we are one. How could we otherwise care about each other if it's true we are so different that it's not possible for us to do so? On the contrary, our too slow progress toward justice happens precisely because we do learn to care for each other and relate to each other as fellow human beings, as brothers and sisters, despite our differences, despite the differences we once thought mattered. Eventually, we even come to appreciate and celebrate and, yes, imitate those differences. We can't help it. That's what being human is. That's what being in community is. That's what communicating means. That's the common humanity ethic, and that's how humanity works. It's not possible for us to not influence and inspire each other. We can't help but communicate our art and our ideas and our culture any more than we can keep from communicating a cold to each other, because we're the same species. We communicate these things because we are one, even if we don't recognize it. In her latest book, Don't Label Me, educator Irshad Manji makes a similar distinction between what she calls honest diversity and dishonest diversity. One promotes our common ground, the other labels and segregates us. Manji says, dishonest diversity labels people as a substitute for understanding them. Dishonest diversity labels people as a substitute for understanding them. This sounds like what the fellow who emailed me about Brian Tate experienced. My attempts to engage in this debate, he said, led to verbal attacks against him. I no longer feel I can continue to be a member of my current church, given its dogmatism and given that I apparently can't speak my mind about certain important issues without being accused of causing pain or worse. Dishonest diversity doesn't allow for conversation, let alone debate, and uses the ad hominem fallacy, attacking the character of others, as its chief tactic in silencing any resistance to this new form of segregation. Some of you may be following the Doonesbury comic strip series, in which a college president is under attack by its students because he wants to desegregate the school. To desegregate the school, including its dorms and dining areas. What a paradox to lampoon at this point in our history, something like this. In one strip, the president explains, it means letting 1,000 flowers bloom, celebrating our multicultural diversity instead of letting it drive us into isolated, hostile camps. Yet the students want no part of it. When practicing honest diversity, Manji counters, we listen without having to agree. We cultivate common ground even when we stand our own ground. We act from a place of grace. I think this means being charitable to one another and assuming the best intentions. But we can't do so if we practice the either for us or against us morality. common identity ethics or common enemy ethics. We can't be charitable to people who we unfairly demonize. I think it's especially important for us to grasp this difference because part of our mission as a congregation is to work toward diversity. The question is then, what kind of diversity are we working toward? Honest or dishonest? Is it tempered with our historic commitment to promoting our common humanity? That we are part of one human family, and there's nothing about any of us that makes us so different that we can't coexist and understand each other? Or do we ignore this value by segregating into separate camps? If being together now means that we must all agree with each other, if being heard and listened to now means the same thing as being agreed with, and if being healthy and whole means there are no polarities in our community, I don't think we honestly want diversity. Because groupthink is the opposite of diversity. And until now, it has been the antithesis of Unitarian Universalism. Social philosopher Philip Devine reminds us that diversity, though currently celebrated on the left, is traditionally a conservative idea, usually opposed to equality. The term originally emerged to counter those calling for integrated and pluralistic societies. No, we don't need pluralism. We're diverse. We don't need integration. We're diverse. Conservative George Kennan, for example, the U.S. ambassador to the Soviet Union under the President Eisenhower, once said, "I have lived in and read about cities in other countries where several cultural and ethnic communities live peacefully side by side, each in its own part of town, looking to their own particular communities for the meeting of their social, religious, and educational needs. All went well. No melting pot was thought necessary, and indeed none was ever achieved." That sounds more to me like dishonest diversity talking. It sounds more like the idea of separate but equal to me. And it sounds a lot like what many mean today when they're speaking of diversity. By contrast, Dr. King famously said, "We are all caught in an inescapable network of mutuality tied in a single garment of destiny." All of us together, wrapped in the same blanket. That's honest diversity. That's the real thing. That's the diversity that brings us together rather than tears us apart. It's integration, not segregation. It's the kind of community that I want to help create. It's the mission that gives my life meaning. And for me, it's what it means to work for justice. Thank you.
Our last in-service hymn is De Colores, which is 305 in the gray hymnal, and it has a Spanish verse, and we're going to attempt it, aren't we? Yes. It doesn't matter whether it is perfect. We are singing in solidarity. Please rise if you're willing and able. All the colors, yes, the colors we see in the springtime with all of its flowers. All the colors the storm cloud is touched by the sun. All the colors abound for the whole world around, for everything under the sun. All the colors, yes, the colors of people parading on by with their banners. All the colors, yes, the colors of pennants and streamers and blooms and bandanas. All the colors, yes, the colors of people now taking their place in the sun. All the colors abound for the whole world around and for everyone under the sun. All the colors, yes, the black and the white and the red and the brown and the yellow. All the colors, yes, the colors of people who smile and shake hands and say hello. All the colors, yes, the colors of people who know that their freedom is won. All the colors abound for the whole world around, for everyone under the sun. De colores se visten los campos en la primavera. De colores son los parajitos que vienen de fuera. De colores es el arcoíris que debemos cumplir. Y por eso los grandes amores de muchos colores te gustan a mí. The colors abound for the whole world around and for everyone under the sun.
So the benediction is adapted from Claude Levi-Strauss. Actually, a well-oriented humanism does not begin with itself, but puts things back in their place. It puts earth before life, life before humanity, and the respect of others before love of self. This is the lesson that the people we call savages teach us, a lesson in modesty, decency, and discretion in the face of a planet that preceded our species and that will survive it. Amen, blessed be, Alam alaikum, shalom, and namaste.